Of all the burials ever uncovered from ancient Rome, this may be one of the most mysterious. A man buried face down, without his feet, and with a dagger driven into his back. There was no honorable tomb, no sign of traditional rites, only the body tossed onto the ground, as though someone wished to erase his very existence forever. But the strangest detail? The weapon in his back was a pugio, the dagger typical of Roman soldiers. Who was this man, and why was he buried this way? The scene of this bizarre burial was discovered at the beginning of this year in the south of Spain, in a place called Cortijo Lobato, a fortress that has existed since before Rome was Rome. It was built more than 5,000 years ago, yet it kept being used by different peoples over time, including the Romans. It was there, beside an ancient defensive ditch, that they found the skeleton. The body belonged to an adult man estimated to be between 25 to 35 years old. But what shocked people most was neither his age nor the place. It was the way he was buried, lying face down, with his feet missing, likely amputated, and with a pugio, a dagger typical of Roman soldiers, still inside its sheath, positioned in his back. There is no doubt that it was deliberate. This was no careless burial. It was more like a sentence. In ancient Rome, burial was a very important matter for any citizen. The manner in which someone was interred spoke volumes about his story, his standing in society, and above all about the way he was remembered by others. Being buried face down was uncommon. In fact, it was a symbolic and powerful gesture, reserved for someone who had done something gravely serious. It was a way of saying, this person does not deserve to rest with dignity. For the Romans, turning someone face down in the grave erased their honor. The absence of feet may carry an even stronger meaning. Historical records suggest that cutting off the feet of a deserter or traitor was a form of punishment, both literal and symbolic. And perhaps the most curious detail, the Roman dagger in his back. It does not seem to have been used to kill him since it was sheathed, but the fact that it was there could represent something, a punishment, a reminder, or even a statement that he was betrayed by his own weapon. The evidence points to this man being a Roman soldier. The pugio was used mainly by military men, and in the region where the body was found, there was only one permanent Roman legion at the time, Legio VII Gemina, which was stationed in that part of Hispania. That does not prove he belonged to that legion, but it strongly reinforces the possibility. If he really was a soldier, what could have happened for him to end up like this? The most persuasive hypothesis is that he committed a grave offense, such as fleeing a mission, betraying his comrades, disobeying orders, or committing a serious crime. In ancient Rome, the army was unforgiving. One of the punishments most feared by those who served was the so-called fustuarium. It was a kind of execution in which the condemned man's own unit beat him to death, generally with clubs. It was cruel, public, and humiliating. Afterward, the body could be discarded or buried without ceremony, sometimes marked with symbols of dishonor, like in this case. Scientists are studying his remains with modern techniques. They are analyzing his DNA to discover his origins, local or foreign, where he came from, what he ate, any diseases he may have had, how tall he was, and even how he spent his final days. They are also investigating the exact position of the dagger, the marks on the bones, and the soil around him, to try to understand whether he was buried there immediately after death, whether he underwent some sort of ritual, or whether he was simply left there as an example to other soldiers. And although they do not yet have all the answers, one thing is certain. This man met an end very different from that of the other Roman soldiers we know. He was not honored, nor remembered with pride. On the contrary, someone wanted to erase his story. The most ironic part is that the punishment failed, because now, 2,000 years later, everyone wants to know who this man was. So what do you think this soldier did to deserve such a fate? Leave your opinion in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe to the channel.